Peace, peace, peace. All right. What's going on? Hope everybody's doing good. You know that. What's going on? Hope everybody's doing good. You know that. What's going on? Hope everybody's doing good. You know what I mean? It's not a light matter. It's a heavy and deep matter actually. You know what I'm saying? And for a lot of us that been speaking about certain things, that have been effectively being envious of us. You know what I mean? For whatever reason, you know how that's love. And in order for you to life, or you wish you had those things so that you could do something good with those things, but you don't want them to be, you don't want their gifts or what you like or loving them to be taken away from this issue, because I've experienced it a lot in my life. You know what I mean? And if you really are a jealous and envious person, you really a sucker. You really, and for those of us who know what that means, you really are a weak individual. You're not on a high level of thinking or being. You know what I mean? Because if you really take into consideration that everybody who got something, you know what I mean, and it'd be good to appreciate people for the things that they have, or the beauty that they have in their life, or whatever the case may be, and also start looking into your own self and being thankful. BE Digital Marketing, peace. I appreciate that, and start looking into your own self. For the things that you've been favored with, because all of us, we have things that are good, and we have and we it's things that we could possibly want for ourselves that we don't possibly have, that we need to work towards, or whatever the case may be. And some of the things that we want, we may never achieve them. So when you see them in other people, you got to just appreciate that in them. You know what I mean? Appreciate that, and don't be jealous of it. Don't be envious in a negative way, towards the people because of that. You know what I mean? And that's what I always told myself. I always, because, even in my life, and I've been favored with a lot of different things, you know what I mean, that people have been jealous of me before. But it was always stuff that I desired. And I always looked at other people like that. I wish, I had that, what they have, but this and the third. But I never was on the tip I didn't want them to have it, or, I wanted what they have to be taken away from them, and stuff like that. No, I always congratulated what happened in their life and all of the different stuff. But it's a serious and deep issue. And really dealing with the jealousy and envy thing, it has something to do with demonic possession, because that's a spirit. You know what I mean? The spirit of envy and jealousy is a spirit, an energy that people are actually possessed by. You know what I mean? And the only way for you to fight, one of the ways that you can fight against that is to pray against it, and also start developing a mastery over yourself to not be thinking nothing bad about somebody, or thinking just something corny, like you see your homeboy, or somebody in your family, they got a new car, or they come through and they got a nice looking girl with them, or they got some nice clothes on, or whatever, man. You got, and you saying something to yourself like, who they think they is? They think they this thing. Oh man, you gotta switch that up. You gotta appreciate that. You gotta be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what's up. You know what I mean? You gotta really switch up your way of thinking in order to get away from that demonic way of being. And all of that, like a lot of people out here, I don't like to use the cold words, but a lot of people out here have been picked. You know what I mean? The ones who the draft picks, and the draft picks are the ones who the chosen ones is the draft picks. You know what I mean? And if you've been picked, you know who you are. You know what I'm saying? And we experience a lot of this. And we don't even, and we, that always was corny to me. That always was corny to me. You know, and being, you know, on these higher levels of being and stuff like that. But people ain't never gonna get there if they still sticking to the small mindsets from the past. And a lot, and just like we preaching, in order for others, you know, in order for others to get to that point too. You know, you got to be determined, and you got to stick to it. You know what I'm saying? But not stop you from going on a journey or speaking out against jealousy and envy. It's cool, but you know, you got something, or I think outside of that, or I function outside of that. So I always really was like that. You know what I mean? And a lot of us have been victimized. A lot of us have been victimized in a way of getting pulled back to old negative ways, or you know what I mean? But not all the time, not for life. You know, you always got to act like our intuition, you know, just our knowledge basis is increasing. You know what I mean? And people don't understand it. But you know, it's time for me, my family members and exes and so-called friends and all this different stuff. You know, it's a lot of stuff been came my way. You know, there's aspects that I had in my life at the time. You know, being God conscious and you know believing in Allah and believing in God and stuff like that. You know, I've been dealing with. I think the first thing that was me deciding to live a clean life. You know, and by me deciding to live a clean life, it started. It was protecting me from a lot of witchcraft. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, if one smokes a lot, drinks a lot, hangs with a lot of people a lot of times, that's gonna scramble your brain. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna scramble your brain and your thought process. You know what I'm saying? And so the whatever kind of wicked type spell that been sent your way, it can have a stronger effect on you. So I advise myself and anybody want to listen to begin to start you know, living a clean life. Especially if you're dealing with psychic attacks and certain in spiritual attacks. You know what I mean? If anybody who listening, that they know what I'm talking about. And I ain't talking about, like, a lot of times you got people that come with let's say the religious stuff, and they start talking, you know, that against, you know, like what I'm saying like, oh man, you just talking this old crazy stuff. But man, everything, if you really get into religion and what it is and all of that, like, hey, everything about it is mystical. You know, having the belief in the unseen and things of that nature is how much more mystical can you get than that? But if we look in nature got all these different animals, birds, insects, you name it. All these different beings in the animal world that exist and have been created by the Most High Creator, Allah, right? Okay. So what will make you think that Allah, the Most High, didn't create other beings that exist that do have power, that do have will, that do have you know what I mean? I'm trying to think of the word. Self-will. You know, they can do what they want to do. They can do good or they can do bad. You know what I'm saying? If you think, if a lot of Most High created all this stuff in the animal world, all these differences in these beings, and animals are spiritual beings also, you know, why would you think that there are not other beings that exist outside or beyond your vision, meaning what you can directly see with your eyes, and think that these things don't exist? These things do exist. And one of the reasons, thank you, I appreciate the light. These things do exist. And one of the reasons, thank you, I appreciate the likes. And one of the biggest reasons why we get victimized by these forces is because we don't believe in them. The same way, if you don't believe in the Most High Creator, one who doesn't give any kind of like reverence, you know what I mean, to the Most High Creator that created everything that exists. To me, I know that a person's life takes on a different curve. Their life is just different. than one who does believe in Allah or God, in the God energy. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta know that if you don't, if you think that this stuff ain't real, you got another thing coming. Everything is, our whole society is saturated with it, from government, from religion, from the language that we are taught to use on a daily basis, from government, from religion, from the language that we are taught to use on a daily basis. We are taught to cast spells on people on a daily basis. We are taught to cast spells on people and on ourselves, even with the wordplay. You know what I mean? And if you're not conscious enough to word how certain rituals, rituals that are done constantly and consistently over time, over the course of years and stuff like that, affect us in certain ways. You know what I mean? And at this day and time, I believe, I don't believe it, I know it. I know that everyone should be trying to get more and more and more and more into the know. Because the more you get into the know, the more you're gonna be able to protect yourself out here. And protection is the biggest thing right now. Protecting yourself, even if you run across just a little bit of information about something that's outside the box, then you have to protect it, right? So in order for you to protect it, you got to protect yourself. You got to protect your mind, because a lot of the stuff that's being they wearing stones or any of that kind of stuff, or they mess with. So these things were commonplace in the old world, and it became a certain time in history where they cut that out of the people's reality, and they outlawed a lot of stuff, meaning just made it taboo. So by them doing that, people are ignorant to it. You know what I'm saying? So the more ignorant you are of true spiritual issues, true spiritual things, the more open you are for the people that are in the know, the one that are making these negative programs for you to follow and to dumb you down with. They get to use that stuff against you. Again, if you dumb down to it, they get to use the stuff against you. Believe that. A lot of people in these religious places, especially, I ain't gonna say, well, yeah, especially like these churches. Churches, they deal with it. They deal with that stuff. They deal with witchcraft. You know what I mean? A lot of people that's involved with that. And it's not enough. I'm not saying that against like Christianity and Christians. I'm just saying because a lot of people in the Islamic world also, because I'm like more on that side. You know what I mean? Deal with the same stuff. And it's a cultural thing too. Now you got a lot of people over here, like culturally, let's say so-called black people, melanated people here, that's American, that was been wiped out of our culture, even though that's a big part of our culture, but it's been wiped out of our culture. So you don't see as much of that stuff with us unless you go in certain places. You might go down south, or you go down, or you go over, maybe to the Midwest, and it still has a strong, you see it. But what I'm saying is, when you don't know about stuff, this stuff can be used against you. It's just like a guy going out in the street and he want to be a hustler, and he want to start being a street guy, but he don't really understand. He don't know the game. He don't know the streets. So trust and believe, he's gonna get taken advantage of until he learns. Until he learns the ins and outs of the street. I'm just using that parable because it's a strong parable for people who got good sense, and especially people who come from where I come from. But it's also for people who come from anywhere else. It don't matter where you come from. If you go into an arena that you don't have no knowledge of and you try to play, then guess what? And then you don't know the rules, or you don't know the game like that, then you can lose. And you can lose every day until you learn the game. So this ain't no mystical talk, nothing like that. People out here practicing magic. And people out here practicing magic against other people in their own families and their own friend circles. You know what I'm saying? And the same way people was getting raised up and they doing good, you know what I mean, for this newfound so-called hidden knowledge and let's say just the stuff you find on TikTok and YouTube and this, that, and the third, and it's opening up. It's also opening up doors for people to do evil, to cast love, make love spells on people and all this different stuff. The world is being opening up on that. You see what I'm saying? So the same way, you got people on here talking about how they elevating and they getting more into the same way. You got people on here talking about how they elevating, and they getting more into like just being positive and elevated. It's on the same token, people is using the same things to do evil. See what I'm saying? Don't get it twisted. It's always two sides to everything. You know what I'm saying? It's two sides to everything. And it ain't no like, and you can how you come with. I ain't saying all, but you can how you come with. I ain't saying all, but you always gonna get that religious stuff, especially for my people. I don't care what is it, whether you on this side or you on that side. You like Jews, Christians, Israelites, all that. It's always gonna be on that. It's always, you know what I'm saying? It's always gonna be on that stuff. You know what I mean? Even with you got the more science, the Moors. I am a Moor, but I'm not a member of the Moor Science Temple. But what I'm saying is, even when these are religious groups that definitely, you know what I'm saying, they be on stuff. Not saying like that. What I'm saying is it's all about the individuals in the place, and the things that they do, or or what they choose to indulge in. Because you always have Moors practicing Islam. You always have Moors practicing Christianity. You always have Moors doing voodoo. You always have Moors being Gnostics. You name it. Whatever, any kind of religious practice, the good and the bad of it, you always have Moors doing it. So I ain't saying nothing against Moors or nothing like that. I'm definitely ain't, because everybody Moors to me, for real. But what I'm saying is, you have to be just be aware of these things, And one of the ways that I fight back is just always staying positive and staying away from people. You know what I mean? I stay away from people as much as I possibly can, because unless I really know they really on something, and they ain't in no danger. Like no danger to me in certain ways. But it don't really, it don't take me long for me to see it with somebody, it don't take me long to see, what I mean, with somebody, or what their energy is, you know what I'm saying? And all that stuff real. I advise myself and anybody want to listen. Stop being scared. Listen to yourself. Yourself talking to you. Your inner self is talking to you and tell you to be leery of certain things, then be leery of it. You know what I mean? If your own inner self is telling you to go towards something, then go towards it. You know what I mean? Because we have entered into a time where, let's say, the trust and the reliance on mainstream things, mainstream religion, mainstream government, secular type thinking and stuff like that, it's losing its grasp on the people. Meaning the people are not relying on it like they used to, right? Myself included, right? Okay. So what I'm saying is, we still need things to be clarified for us. So this is why I know that the Most High Creator wants us to get more in tune with Him, her, it, and ourselves, with that connection, like the animals do. You know what I'm saying? Okay, yeah, we have self-will, and man has the highest intellect, right? Like the animals do. You know what I'm saying? Okay, yeah, we have self-will, and man has the highest intellect, right? Okay. Then that means that how you listen to yourself and how you listen to your inner guidance system is on a higher level. It's not really on a higher level than the animal, because the animals, they don't miss. They don't never miss. You know what I mean? God tell them to do something, they do it. But what I'm just saying is, we got to get back in tune with our intuition. That's what's going to save you. That's what's going to ultimately save you. Ask me how I know. I just know because, like I said, the religious stuff, it protected and saved me in the beginning of my journey, right? And it still protects me to this day. But me following my intuition and me knowing myself and knowing and trusting in myself, meaning like what I see and what I hear and what I feel about something, I've been able to dip and dodge a lot of harmful things that was sent my way. I've been able to dance around it. And I'm gonna continue to dance around that stuff because I'm gonna continue to listen to myself. I'm gonna continue to listen to the Most High Creator. You know what I mean? That line, that line of contact between it and me is wide open. It's gonna stay that way. You know what I'm saying? And I just advise anybody who want to listen to do the same thing. You know what I mean? Getting to knowing yourself. You know what I mean? Maybe you have to separate from the larger group of people, so your mind, so you can make sure all all your thoughts and all your wants and desires are really truly your wants and desires, and not the wants and desires of the group that you connected to. You know what I'm saying? And rely on yourself, counsel yourself. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people out here suffering from demonic possession. You know what I mean? I'm not the best articulator on certain things, but trust and believe. Once you start getting it, you're gonna start seeing, and you're gonna see it in people's eyes. You're gonna see it. You know how these people is being affected, and the jealousy and envy thing. It definitely comes from demonic forces. That's whether you like it or not. You know what I'm saying? And the world is not basic, and everything in creation is not as basic as you think. It's not as basic as let's say mainstream religion has taught you that it is. It's more complex than that. And even if you're a little bit learned, you know what I'm saying, on these, it's even more complex than that because there's so much stuff that's been deleted, from mainstream knowledge basis. Come on, you gotta really get lucky out here to tap into some real knowledge beyond beyond the barrier. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's just what I be on. You know what I'm saying? I don't be trying to like make certain kind of noise. I just be trying to like survive in a good way. And then, I've been moved, you know what I'm saying, to talk about certain things. You know what I mean? When I get on TikTok, I'm not really on like, I'm just not I'm not really on all the mainstream dumb stuff. So I ain't gonna be talking about Cat Williams. None of that kind of stuff. I'm just not gonna be talking about that because I ain't really interested in it. You know what I'm saying? I'm really interested in spiritual things, mystical issues. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. That's what I'm interested in. You know what I'm saying? But even talking about that stuff, everybody ain't ready to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? And I always was connected with the Most High Creator. So how could I not want to be, talk about these things and be most interested in these things? This is why it was easy. It was easy to get me into like mainstream, to believe in mainstream religious doctrines and belief systems. I'm not saying I've given all of that up, all of those things up. But what I'm just saying is, being as though when you got that God connection, when you got that connection with the Most High Creator, you know what I mean? It's real easy to sell you something connected to God. And, you got to watch out even now for, if you're on a spiritual journey. Spirituality and religion is the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It's actually the same thing. It all goes together. Now, I got the best of both worlds. But what I'm saying is, you have to be leery of people, putting certain stuff out. You know what I mean? You just gotta be leery. You just gotta be leery about that. You know what I'm saying? And people are dropping all these jewels. You got a lot of people out here dropping jewels. They dropping sayings, right? Okay, they dropping saying, but how they living for real? Or how they living when ain't nobody looking and stuff like that? All that dumb stuff. You can take a jewel from somebody and not follow they whole life pattern and all that. I'm just put that out there. You know what I mean? Because some of these people dropping jewels they're not worthy to be followed in no kind of way. They're not. So be worried about that. The same thing with the religious people. You know what I'm saying? All these religious people getting exposed. You know what I mean, to the people. Even with the you got the Christian preacher, the Christian preacher. Got exposed for some stuff and this, that, and the third. That's something that comes from Allah the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Being exposed you know, in that way. So, and you're gonna see it in all everything. You're gonna see this stuff, all this stuff happening, and you know, but it's on each individual.